What is up, guys? So over here, bringing you another high-level Halo Wars commentary today. We're going to be playing against Sam the Bold and Metalwood Monkey, and they will be running Cutter Arbiter, and I will be with BH Too Legit, and we too will be running Cutter Arbiter on the docks. But this will not be your standard Cutter Arbiter game that you would probably expect on the docks. As you can tell by the title, this is going to be an unorthodox game. And if that isn't the best damn title you've seen all year, then I don't know what is. That's some pretty quality stuff, if you ask me. So normally, this Cutter RB mirrors are basically like double candy down techs and tech 2 arbiters and like vampires, and that will not be how this game's gonna play out. So we're gonna be doing something a little bit different here. Well, I'm definitely gonna start out by doing something different here. I'm gonna go Temple second and end up going to the Cutter Expo, which is Sam the Bold this game. After I'm going to get a quick heavy pad because, I don't know, I want to get a decent eco to start out the game. But normally when I play games against Metalwood, I'm pretty much most of the time I go Temple third, so I'm throwing in a little curveball this game, and I'm going to go Temple second, and he was pretty late to scout me this game because I think he was assuming I was Temple third because it's pretty much what I always do, like I said. But this game I'm going Temple second, and I'm normally when you go Temple second in any Arbiter mirror anyways, you hit the other Arbiter, but I'm going to try to make Too Legit be super far ahead this game by hitting the Cutter, and I'm just going to see what I can do. So I have this Ghost DPS. For those of you that don't know, you can deny a supply pad that's coming up with a non-fiendish Arbiter and a Ghost, but you can't with a non-fiendish Arbiter. So that Ghost DPS is where it's at. And Metalwood lost his Ghost pretty early, I think. And I still have my Ghost, so I'm going to be able to keep down supply pads. I got a decent amount of damage on that, so I'll be able to drop one Suicide Grunt in, the one Suicide Grunt that I built in, and pretty much kill that pad, and I'll be able to deny upcomings with my Ghost and non-Fiendish Arbiter, which is pretty good, because I don't have to waste 400 on Fiendish early just to deny pads, and I don't have to rage down pads at all in order to try to keep them down. So like I said, I'm just going to be throwing this grunt in, and yeah. So what you're going to see by that flashing base is Sam the Bold, instead of not going straight into tanks, he's going to decide to go Warthogs, which is also pretty unorthodox. So I'm going to be hitting the Cutter Expo. Metalwood's going to be hitting my base. There's going to be Warthogs hitting my base. And Too Legit, this game is going into his pretty standard candy down tech build. But he's not. You're going to find out he's not going to be able to do it exactly the way he normally does due to circumstances this game. So this is already starting out as a weird game. Because normally it's just both teams getting down, attacking both arbiters just doing pretty much nothing until like there's a big push by one team. So Too Legit asked me if he was wanting me to recall or asking me if he thinks I should recall, and I said no because I know the second I recall, I know there's hogs in my base and I'm getting out DPS. But I'm doing a pretty good job of keeping Sam the Bold on 2 pads on this Expo, which is just putting Too Legit super far ahead. And the real reason I don't want to recall, even though there's Warthogs and an RB on my base doing a ton of damage, I was able to sneak up a back turret here. And if I recall and start playing defense and then start slapping at Metalwood's Arbiter, he's going to be able to go straight into double summits, and we're going to get pretty screwed over. So I'm going to be raging this turret twice, and Too Legit just told me that Metalwood's on Citadel, so we're gonna run up to his base, and voila, he's already throwing up a summit. If I would have recalled when Too Legit flared back there, then we would be getting pretty much destroyed by double summit Banshees. And that's not fun. So instead, I'm just going to take the damage on my base. I already put Sam the Bold really far behind this game. And now if I just deny summits, it doesn't really matter if Metalwood's too far ahead of me. Because basically at this point in the game, it's pretty much me and Sam are pretty much kind of irrelevant. If you can, we're pretty much like the weak players in this game because we're both getting hit. Because Sam's Expo I left on 2 pads, and I'm getting left on 2 pads right now as well, even though it's on my only base, but that doesn't really matter. But right now I'm basically making it a double base Cutter against a single base Arbiter, which should pretty much, the double base Cutter should win pretty much most of the time. So I told Too Legit that he should push his first tank. He asked me where he thinks I should send his first tanks, and I tell him to push it up on offense That way, we have to get Metalwood is going to have to do something about the tank that we push, because this tank's going to be here forever denying a depot. Metalwood doesn't do something about it because Sam is nowhere near a tank. So Metalwood decided instead of recalling to run all the way back from my base all the way to Sam's base and to get the tank instead of just recalling. He probably wasted just as much money rage running, spending money as he did. Like, he could have just recalled, but I guess whatever. But I'm just gonna stay. So we lost that first tank, but now since Metal went all the way back, we have a second tank that can just start picking at all the warthogs and start letting me get pads up. Well, I continue this whole game to keep Metalwood off his Citadel pad. So I get a suicide grunt out, and I'm just gonna keep him on 4 supply pads, and I'm gonna try to kill this pad, and that will put us both on 3 supply pads and make me and Metalwood even though they went warthogs. And Sam's still behind Too Legit, even though Too Legit got a tank rage now. So Metalwood's back up on offense. There's still 4 warthogs on my base, and I'm just sitting up here trying to keep pads denied. Too Legit, instead of going 2 tanks and going for Canny, he is just spamming a couple more stock tanks out because there's really no point of going 1 tank Canny, and there's warthogs on the base still, and we just need stock tanks right now to start pushing these warthogs off and doing damage rather than a tech up. So now I have Metalwood onto 3 supply pads, and I'm on 3 supply pads, so it's looking pretty good from my perspective. And Too Legit, it's definitely still ahead on tanks, even though Metalwood's just being a raging maniac, killing. I think like this is the 2nd tank he's killed, maybe the 3rd. I think it's the 2nd though. I'm pretty sure that's the 2nd tank Metalwood's killed, and now they have a tank on me, and I get the suicide grunt in. I'm just gonna grunt the tank down to pretty much half health. Raise the base because I'm good. Raise the tank a couple of times. I don't have the money. I asked Too Legit if he wants to click me, and he says, nah, just recall. And so I'm just gonna say okay, and I'm just gonna recall out of there. And I'm just going to rage up and try to kill the 2 warthogs that are picking off the depot. Too Legit this whole time is pretty much telling me that that Metalwood is building a ton of suicide grunts and just like grunting everything. And Sam just had these warthogs like the whole time just trying to deny things. So during this time, Too Legit is still just trying to pump stock tanks. I don't know if he's getting heavies quite yet, but eventually he's going to start getting a couple heavy supply pads just because how the game's going. Normally, he doesn't like to go for heavy supply pads on this map, and but this game is pretty unorthodox, like I said, so it's going to be a little bit different. So there are 3 stock tanks being pushed up to BH on Too Legit's Expo, and Metalwood is raging back to our depot that has Candy going up. So I'm just going to be raging at these stock tanks, and I don't have any tech, so we dropped a D-bomb for non-tech RB, which is whatever. And I'm just going to be walking at the D-bomb. I don't have any tech, so I'm just going to go into double summit Banshees, because I think that's going to be our best option to push things off at this point. And Metalwood dropped a suicide grunt in, or raged the depot, his Too Legit's main depot a little bit, and they macked our Canny. So so we don't, but Too Legit didn't down tech, so they pretty much just macked the depot with Canny going up. But he didn't down tech it, so he can just queue up Canny in another depot real quick whenever he needs to. So we're just pushing off these tanks pretty well. We're getting beat. Too Legit got Fortress on this Expo, and it's about to be a 2-on-2 tank, but now I have a Banshee here. And I'm going to be just trying to get double summit Banshees up and be annoying. Yep, now you can see right there that Metalwood and Sam did drop that depot with Candy going up. But that was pretty costly for him considering we didn't down tech. So we were okay with that. And so Sam pretty much spent a ton of money to lose. He lost 2 tanks, D-bombed, and macked. So that was a very costly push for them. So it looks like Metalwood is on single summit or something. He's just going to be trying to port in some stuff. And now we're going to look at Sam's base. He has some heavy supply pads, but it's not too big of a deal. He was behind at the very beginning of the game for a long time, so Too Legit is pretty much still ahead. So now we finally have boost, and I'm just going to be shooting at this summit. Metalwood's RB is still on Too Legit's back depot, pretty much denying it. So I think Too Legit's just going to end up throwing a depot up in the front. So that back depot really doesn't mean too much to us. So they're going to be playing defense on my Banshees with tanks. I don't have enough Banshees to really fight those tanks effectively, but I will eventually fight them when I get some numbers. So now this back turret is starting to finally pay off again, and shooting some Banshees. I'm going to drop another supply pad off Sam the Bold here, And I'm pretty much just trying to keep Sam in the Stone Age as long as I possibly can. Um, so we can continue to make it a pretty much 1v1 with the Cutter against an Arbiter. So now I'm with the 7 Banshees. Metal just dropped a pad off me, so even though he has 5 heavy supply pads and I only had 4 when he dropped my pad, I wanted to do a little bit to Metalwood's eco and drop a pad off him. And my Banshee numbers are finally starting to build. Too Legit is fighting Metalwood's Arbiter at his main base right now. My Arbiter is kind of out of position at this point. I easily could have been back there with him, but I mean, I don't know why. I was just too busy microing my Banshees and stuff, so I was just sitting by his Expo instead of moving with his tanks to counter rage the Arbiter when he was fighting the Arbiter. And by the time I actually got up to finally help with it, Metalwood already recalled. So now we are looking to be in a pretty good spot here because we have a bunch of Banshees and they don't have a bunch of Banshees, and we're ahead UNSC wise because we have Canny already and Double Fortress and all that good stuff. So I'm looking for the tanks at this point because I want to just start sacking my Banshees into tanks because here I finally find them. He has 5 stock tanks. He's probably getting Canny right now. And I just want to continue to put Sam the Bold and continue to give him a bad day. So he's building Wolverines, and I'm not building Banshees really anymore. I'm just building the occasional Banshee. So I killed a tank already. I'm going to be able to pick off another tank. So he's going to be on 3 tanks and 2 Wolverines, and we're on like 5 or 6 Canny tanks that are pushing. So and I'm going to get away with a decent amount of Banshees too. Even though Metalwood's already on a Vampire, my Banshees have already done everything I needed them to do this game. They knocked a supply pad off Sam, they knocked a heavy supply pad off Metalwood, and they killed 2 tanks. So I'm just going to drop off my double summit now because I want to start getting my RB teched and start to rage these tanks. Metalwood's Arbiter is still weak, but I don't think Too Legit knew it, so he kind of just dropped it immediately when he saw the Arbiter on the minimap, and he pretty much insta-killed Metalwood's Arbiter. I don't think he needed a D-bomb, but he ended up dropping it just to be safe. Luckily, he thought it was going to be a really bad D-bomb because he might have gotten me, but I was able to sit outside the D-bomb and pick off 1 tank and like weaken another tank. So now we have about 5 tanks on their side, and they have 2 tanks, and I have an Arbiter and a Banshee here. The Banshee's pretty much just going to die, though. But we are going to be doing a ton of damage to Sam at this point in the game. I'm just going to be walking back and asking for a heal and getting my eco back up and teching my RB, while Too Legit continues to just strip Sam the Bold's Expo. He's gonna kill 4 supply pads off it and put a fortress base on 3 supply or 3 pads. I think he has like a reactor and 2 depots on his base. So Sam the Bold is really far behind right now, and we're just gonna like end up doing a lot of work. So we're gonna be fighting the tanks. Sam the Bold picked off a weak tank there, and then I'm getting a heal finally, so Too Legit's going to pull back. I specifically remember Too Legit like basically calling Sam bad at this point because he came in and he's like, "Oh, you want to fight my tank, Sam?" And Sam just lost a tank for no reason and killed nothing because Too Legit had his candies. So we're just going to pull back, and right now we're thinking we want to clear these bases, as Too Legit is pointing out, and get me a bunch of money to get me onto Tech 2 and let my Arbiter start getting teched up, and we're going to get onto Power Turret. Because pretty much any time you can get on the Power Turret on this map when they can't, because there's no way Sam's getting Power Turret anytime soon in this game. Because he's been held down from the beginning, and then we just picked off 4 more supply pads off his Expo. So we're just pretty much saving up for, I'm saving up for Tech 2, and Too Legit's saving up for Tech 4. And we're going to go for Power Turret and the Tech 2 RB at this point. And I'm going to build a couple of Vampires, so Metalwood can't just go a bunch of Banshees on us freely. So I'm going to be able to pick up a ton of money at these expos, and Too Legit's just going to clear them for me because tanks just clear these like they're nothing. So I'm building a Vampire. I'm trying to tech my RB up at the same time while continuing to build Vampires. And they pretty much are in a spot where they have to do something about us because if they don't go for some sort of push, then we're just going to be able to push right back on them with Power Turret against Canny, and they're going to have not only going to have Canny, but they're going to have less tanks, or at least they're going to have at most even tanks with us and be a whole tech down. So unless Metal could go superhero or RB rage mode on all the power turret tanks, which pretty much never happens for any RBs or against power turret tanks, they're just gonna end up not being able to do anything about it. So I'm setting this vampire up to see what they're doing. One thing that like a lot of like people get caught on after they clear these bases is the other team knows that they're clearing the base and the RB's picking up the money alone at the bottom, like I am right now. And they pretty much a lot of people like you can literally lose a game if you're picking up money with your RB and they push their tanks down and insta candy your RB and then push on your base. So that's exactly what they're going to be doing right now. I see they have their tanks in the middle with my vampire that was scouting, and I picked up all the money, and I want to get out of these bottom bases because I want to be with my tanks and not alone. And you can see Sam the Bold's tanks are doing exactly what I just said. They're going to try to push down to this expo and catch me picking up money. But instead, I'm just going to run away because I have no intentions of losing my RB for a stupid reason this game. So I have my vampire scouting down there. So 2 Legit knows which ways the tanks are coming from. They're going to be coming from his main base or his expo. And you can see the blob right now. So Metal pushed up all his vampires. He definitely has a solid air lead. But I have a Tech 2 RB now. And right now I'm pretty much just trying to rage as much air as I can without getting cliffed. And getting cliffed is also a way to lose a game. So right now, I called out to 2 Legit that they're going to be going to my main base. I know this is something Metal loves to do. He loves going to covey main bases and sacking into them. So he's going up towards 2 Legit's main base right now. But I called out to 2 Legit. He's going to hit my main. Like he's not going to hit 2 Legit's main. He's going to hit my main. So 2 Legit instantly starts going back to my main instead of his because that's what I called out. He knows I just know that's what Metal likes to do with UNSC. So he probably told Sam to do it. So I'm just gonna be sitting down by his expo and picking off as many tanks as all the reinforcement tanks that Sam's all uniting across the map. While 2 Legit goes back with his power turret tanks and splits his tanks and picks off as many canny tanks as he can before they can do too much damage. So the RB was down here. We're just raging each other a little bit. And I'm just continuing to pick off. This is a second reinforcement tank I'm picking off that Sam's all uniting across the map. And 2 Legit's back there just trying. He killed so far. He killed a summit and a temple. So whatever. I don't really need it. I still have my RB, so I don't really need my temple. And right here, Sam, he pretty much Metal got insta-candied, I'm pretty sure. That's what he said. So Metal lost his RB. And now Sam the Bold is losing every single tank he has at the expense of all of our power turret tanks in order to kill a summit and a temple. So I'm just going to pick up this expo down here because it'll help me get back into, not to get back into the game quicker. It's just they can't do anything about my expo at this point, so I might as well take it because there's absolutely nothing they can do to stop it. And I don't have a temple or anything, so I can't build anything right now. So I'm just going to be working my way to get my temple back up, and I'm going to be waiting my RB here for 2 Legit's tanks. We have full pop power turret. I think he has 2 Legit now has pretty much all heavy supply pads. And I'm just checking their expo to make sure they don't have an expo, a sneaky expo, and they don't. So we're going to be able to pretty much push up onto Sam the Bold's base. 2 Legit sent in a tank first on accident, but it doesn't really matter. We have pretty much full pop power turret to their 4 or 5 canny tanks. And we have a Tech 2 RB to go along with it. So we're just going to be cannying all the tanks. I think Metal has a couple of Banshees, but I'm just going to have my RB to be the anti-air on this push because RBs are pretty good at that. And here's Metal to try to be a hero. He's going to do his best to stay on the outside, but that's a lot of tanks. I'm trying to fight wherever I can with my RB and get in there, either fight an RB or fight a tank, but I'm just stuck on all the tanks, so I can't really go anywhere. But I get one latch on the RB, and that's about it. And now I'm going to get stuck on the palm tree, the epic palm tree. And now I'm going to be just raging these canny tanks. Because he already uses canny, so I'm not really worried about dying too much. I just want to do as much damage as I can. And I'm just going to try to... here's 2 Legit clicking me. That's something he does a lot. I'm like, I got all the money. He's like, nah, you need more clicks. I'm like, whatever. He just is on full pop power turret and doesn't really need money, so he just assumes any clicks, which is kind of funny. Even though I'm clearly sitting $1,000 because I'm not building on my bases or something. Oh no, nope, I'm not building on my bases. But I'm just gonna get a heal because I'm a little weak, and I know if I don't lose my RB on this push, 2 Legit could probably win this on his own without me. But If I don't lose my RB on this push to something stupid, then there's no way in heck we're gonna lose this game. So we're just cannying all the we're just cannying all the tanks that Sand the Bolt is coming with, and we're gonna be able to pretty much just drop this Expo with 6 tanks and attack 2 RB, and Sam's gonna try to get out some Spartans, some non-tech Spartans, and do something about the power turret. And Sam obviously dropped an epic D-bomb there when my RB wasn't in there. I'm guessing he was trying to drop a heal, but whatever. So this game is coming to a close. So thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time. And as they say in the Netherlands, Zealwater.
Your team is victorious.